All right. How's everybody doing on this fantastic Tuesday morning? Probably not too good if you're long Bitcoin. It looks like it's just absolute garbage out there. This thing is dropping like an absolute rock. No support in sight. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're looking at here today. We'll come back to Bitcoin in a second. I cannot tell you to buy Bitcoin. Like, this thing is literally trending down and you have rising volatility at the same time. That is never a buy, ever. You need to see support build in and then look to be a buyer at support when looking for scalps or swing trades or any kind of long positioning for that matter. Right now, Ethereum is stronger than Bitcoin. So if you're looking to trade crypto in the opposite direction of the dollar, US dollar, then the only one that I could even make a suggestion on that could potentially be along would be Ethereum. And Ethereum is massively stronger than Bitcoin. I don't think it's because Ethereum is strong. Let's be clear. This is because Bitcoin is so weak. But there's your ETH BTC chart. So, I mean, it is literally ripping right now to the upside. But like I said, it's mainly because of Bitcoin weakness and not ETH strength. However, if you were looking for that trade, if the dollar bails, like if it rolls over, then I would rather be long ETH today for the intraday scalp and for the potential weekly swing trade long, not Bitcoin. Like I said, Bitcoin is currently trending down. It's currently got rising volatility. You're literally trying to buy a falling knife, and that never, ever, ever works. Because the chances are, even if this is a short, like even if this is just a stop run from the prior 4:35, 6 o'clock longs, even if that's what's transpiring here, there's no real way to know. One that we looked at yesterday for the long is Bonk, because it's been literally sideways AF here. I mean, AF. Like, this is the absolute disgusting sideways market. And it could be because nobody's trading it, right? But we know people have been shorting it because the sellers have been the aggressors forever. You can see here, volatility is laying flat on the floor here for Bonk. We actually started to see volatility move up yesterday. So we was looking, if Bonk didn't break down yesterday and start trending under these lows, then we were going to get long just in case an upside spike is coming because of sell side exhaustion. Obviously, I'm still holding that. If it gets below this white line right here, I'll be stopped out of it. This is one position that I'm looking at for dollar weakness. And I think the other dollar weakness play would obviously be Ethereum. Now, why am I looking for dollar weakness? Because on the weekly time frame, not the daily, you're still very bearish here. This is still a very bearish structure. Yesterday, the dollar had plenty of strength, plenty of upside momentum to go up there and smoke last week's low, and it couldn't do it. I literally watched it all day to see if it would make that higher weekly high. And then if it would have done that and made a pullback, a slight pullback, not an aggressive pullback, then I would be more bullish on the dollar here because it has been consistently closing weekly candles above the 21 exponential. But the 50 week is a stronger trend indicator than the 21 is. And this is clearly a lower low, or I mean a lower high on the dollar. So clearly the dollar is at a crossroads for this week. You can either be long the dollar or short the dollar from right here. I have no idea which way it's going to go. That's not what I have to learn how to do to be a successful trader. What I need to learn how to do is mitigate risk. But if the dollar does in fact roll over here, if it is wanting to come down here and make fresh weekly lows, then I would rather be long Ethereum or Bonk instead of Bitcoin, because you're not seeing that nasty weakness. Like, this thing can't even make a higher 30-minute high right now. It is pathetic. Lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, like all the way down. It's been making lower highs. It's extremely weak. It's in free fall. It's in free fall. This is why I told you guys the position for shorts in Saturday's video. Right? I want to be long Bitcoin, obviously. I know that everybody makes more money when Bitcoin is moving to the upside for the people that are Bitcoin longs or Bitcoin maxis or whatever. But when the technical signal is that strong, you have to take the technical side of the trade, even if you're wrong. Right now, the technical side of the trade is to be short euro, not long, right? So that would put us long dollar. Well, there is a short signal here on euro, and as long as it's trading under the previous 4-hour swing high, which is right here, you can put that trade on. If you're trading above this swing, you cannot put that trade on because something else may be happening here. If you go look at silver, silver is actually trying to break out here. And with the momentum that it currently has, it does look like it's going to. So that means the euro probably short will fail if silver breaks out to the upside. But if you want to be also looking for, there are a lot of things right here you can potentially get short the dollar, or you can get long the dollar with euro and then short the dollar with silver. This way you could potentially mitigate that risk, so that way if euro rolls over and silver rolls over, then good, right? You're in the money. But one of them's bound to break out, is what I'm saying. One of them's bound to make an opposite move. So if you're short euro, long silver, if silver breaks out, you make that money. If euro rolls over, you make that money. So it's kind of offsetting the position, but we're in that scenario right here where that's a valid argument to make. Unfortunately, with crypto, there's not much to do. I don't like getting long Ethereum. Let's be clear. It's not strong. If it was strong, it would be doing that versus the dollar. It could be getting ready to make a move, but judging by what's happening to Bitcoin, I would say this thing is just about to make a fresh low. But silver was a lot weaker than Bitcoin was, as it got down back to the bottom side of the range much quicker than Bitcoin did. And it's just basically been chilling here for the majority of the time. And you can see what you're doing. I mean, you've already taken out last month's low and this month's low. So for the last 2 months, and this month just opened, but still for the last 2 months, you've made lower lows. That's not a long. You want to see support hold. Now, these lows are significantly insignificant. So it could be a stop run, right? It could potentially be holding support. What I mean by these lows are insignificant, I just mean that this is the beginning of the month. We just opened the month yesterday. You've got a 2-day monthly range here. And yes, it did take out those lows. It hasn't broken down yet, but it probably will break down if the dollar rallies today. That's what I'm trying to say. Judging by what Bitcoin's doing, it looks like the dollar wants to rally today. But so if the dollar fails, instead of trying to pick up Bitcoin when it's literally in a free fall with volatility rising, then maybe that trade is on ETH. I don't know. I'm specifically speaking to the longs. You should be holding shorts. You should not be long. You should not be looking for longs today in crypto. If anything, you should be taking profits. We were looking for the short last week, this week. Yeah, the shorts are getting paid. There is no point in trying to get long when the shorts are getting rich, right? You have to find that trade elsewhere. So if the dollar's going to bounce today, if the dollar's about to make a run today, as it is structured more bullish here than bearish. Your 21's above the 50, 50's above the 200. This is a 4-hour time frame. Okay, well, if we go over here and look at the daily, on the daily time frame, you're above the 21, you're above the 200, you're above the 50. The 21 and 50 just haven't made their way above the 200 yet, but they are clearly heading that direction. Now, one could argue that the dollar found resistance up here on a gap fill and rolled over. And I would like to agree with that sentiment, because on the weekly time frame, it is still very bearish. We just need to see that expansion. That move or that rejection from gap fill last week down on the dollar happened on Thursday. And then Friday, you got a downside continuation move that stalled. When I mean stalled, all I mean by that is you traded well lower intraday and then backed off the lows for the close. So this move stalled out down in here into support. And then yesterday we seen an upside spike. Now, with all this being said, clearly any news headline can come out and change all of this stuff around, every bit of it. So right now the trading is very volatile and hectic in terms of so choppy out there. Finally, Bitcoin broke down and now is trending lower. But I mean, the dollar and trying to get positioned in and around dollar movements have been very difficult for the last 2 weeks. I think this is going to be clarity this week. Whatever the dollar does here today and the rest of the week will be a little bit more clear as to what we can expect moving on further into June. On the 16th of this month, we're going to have a BOJ meeting, and the anticipations are that they will hike. So that's good news for short side dollar. But we got a Fed meeting coming out the very next day on the 17th of June. And the anticipation there is nothing happens. And the anticipation right now, it's kind of split right down the middle. That you're not, like, we don't know. It's either going to be a pause all the way out to the end of the year, or they're going to hike, not cut. And that's what the market's trying to price in right now. Now, that is 6 months out. We're in June. We just started June. So going all the way out to December to try to get market expectations, can't really do that when you have an elevated VIX. And you do have an elevated VIX. Anything above 15 is elevated. So yeah, it's kind of a difficult, the market's pricing in a potential hike. But they're also pricing in that nothing changes 6 months out. That will change after. You'll start to see those probabilities move around a lot after we get a Fed speech, after the market breaks down what Kevin Warsh has to say. But in terms of positioning for price action analysis, this would be a long on the DXY today. It's a short on the euro. Right? That's how you would play it on a technical basis. Like this trade. Yesterday you had upside momentum. It stalled out prior to making that fresh weekly high. But that fresh weekly high can be made Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or not at all, right? But at the same time, as long as you're trading above yesterday's open, which you are, this is threatening more of an upside move than a downside move. So that's how I would position. That's how I am positioned. I am positioned for that. Now, that's all I do. I'm not a macro analyst. I didn't go to college, right? I can read headlines and then make my own opinions, sure, but any Tom, Dick, and Harry can do that on the street. What I'm trying to do is get you guys to understand that you don't need to know that stuff in order to make a successful career in managing your own money. You can do it yourself. You don't have to pay people to do that. And pretty soon there probably won't be anybody that does that. It'll be a robot. So money managers' jobs are being threatened just as much as tech bro jobs are being threatened right now from AI. AI is going to be able to do whatever it is that money managers do and probably do it way better. But in terms of if you want to learn how to be a trader, if you want to manage your own money, then you just need to understand a price chart, how it works, understand trend and then take positions in the direction of said trend. One could argue that this is a failure on the daily time frame, and that if you break down under Friday's low, that this will be a failure at the 200-day exponential, and then that weekly downtrend will start all over again. And you would be right. This is where it comes in. You just have to know how to mitigate risk. As long as you can do that, you can take any side of the trade. It's not about winning them all. It's about making sure the ones that you're wrong on lose less money than for the times that you're right, because eventually you're going to be on the right side of the market because of the way these candlesticks form, because of the way they are built, because of the way these things work. Obviously, on the weekly time frame, if you're looking at this as a long-term money manager, as a billion-dollar guy, investor, and you have trading strategies and or entry signals following major moving averages, you still have a bearish bias here. I don't care if you're looking at a line chart or a candlestick chart. Now, what can be said is this low failed here. It failed to make a lower low. So what we know is it's still range bound. And that makes it difficult for everybody to position, not just, I did that wrong, not just price action analysts, macro analysts are stuck as long as the dollar is trading inside this green box as well, as the trend indicators are indicating that you should be bearish the dollar. But for whatever reason, the dollar is failing to make lower lows. Hasn't made higher highs yet either. So you're kind of in the middle of that range. So this is where I'd be looking to position for the long term on dollar. Lower. Now, if you think it's going higher because you see this swing, this swing, and this swing as a head and shoulders or an inverse head and shoulders, then get long. You know what I mean? Then get long. You could be right. That's the beauty of it. I don't know what price is going to do. Neither do you. You might think you do. You might be a little cocky, but you don't. You don't. I've been doing this long enough to know there is insider trading and stuff like that, but nobody knows what price is going to do. Obviously, people can manipulate price with headlines. But anyways, the dollar is still structured for a lower push. It's just not trending. It could be changing the downtrend, as it has been sideways for a solid year. A solid year. But it's a very difficult thing to do when you're a Forex trader and you trade the majors. The majors being anything versus the dollar. That's a major. Whether it's CAD, yen, Aussie, New Zealand, euro, or pound. If you're trading any of those versus the dollar, then you need to know what the dollar is doing. We trade Bitcoin versus the dollar, therefore we need to know what the dollar is doing. And up until today and yesterday, I would have argued that Bitcoin is a very strong negative correlation to the dollar right now. Not so much could I say that now, because the dollar has pulled back. Today is a down day on the dollar all day long. It has opened and pushed lower, and Bitcoin has dumped. So Bitcoin right here today is literally just in free fall because of fear. A lot of people selling. They think it's going back down to make those fresh yearly lows, and they don't want to sit around and wait on that to happen. So they're bouncing, and they're bouncing quickly. And then obviously you've got your leveraged longs in the market that are getting smoked right now as well. And that creates this drop. And that's why we were trying to get you guys positioned for it when it was trading sideways last week. Now, I did take a short position. If you sense a little bit of assholishness in the tone today, you're right. Yeah, I was exceedingly pissed off yesterday because I did get short on Bitcoin on Sunday. And I typically hate getting positioned on the weekend because the weekend is so choppy and sideways. But there was a clear, obvious trade to make Sunday morning. Resistance was holding solid. We go back to Sunday real quick. I'll talk you through that and show you what happened, because I don't care. I missed 2 days of trend. Oh no, what am I ever going to do? I still hold Bitcoin puts. I will hold Bitcoin puts until Bitcoin makes fresh highs. But anyways, right here is where the resistance was on Sunday morning. And we already knew going into Sunday that we were looking for short positions. If we go into the 4-hour time frame here, this is all for learning. That's what this channel is built around. I want to teach you what I'm looking for, so that way you can identify this stuff yourself and then start putting positions on in the market yourself. But because I manage risk, and manage risk a specific kind of way, I ended up eating a stop. But you can see how that 30-minute resistance, we'll go back to the 30-minute chart. I just want to show you what I was looking at intraday. This 4-hour candle right here. You see how it broke out above resistance? This candle broke out above resistance. This candle broke out above resistance. So you kept having this breakout, fail type of thing. Not breakout and go, which is what you want to see in a bullish market. When a market's bullish, when you get the breakout, that breakout usually will sustain itself and the rally will go on to make higher highs. We never really got that the last 4 days that Bitcoin was trading in a range here. So that indicates to us that sellers are dropping down into the range. They're coming down from on highs down to these lows. And they're willing to short here because Bitcoin could not rally. It could not break out. If you look at this in terms of a measured move, like there's your trending move, here's your sideways consolidation. This would not be consolidation, right? It would be the opposite of that. Consolidation is for bulls. But distribution is the word. Anyways, you broke out above resistance here, failed, took out the low. And then this candle right here made a lower high. So the trade was to put on a short right here on this candle as long as it traded under this 4-hour swing high right here. So this candle opens, pushes up. I get filled on a short. Stop loss just right above the entry because I was looking for the liquidation above the 3-day high right here. I told myself that if Bitcoin pushes up and liquidates this high, that's the entry for the short. But because of this pattern right here, because it broke out and then instantly failed and went down and made a lower low, we were probably about to see that move play out, the downside move. So the higher high wasn't coming, or the liquidation run wasn't coming. So I got short. Unfortunately, this candle came up and puked me out. So instead of putting on the trade again instantly, I waited for this high. I set an alert right here at like 74,166. So that way, if Bitcoin continues to push up, I get the alert. I go to my laptop. I throw the sell on. Never happened. So naturally, I ate a short here, woke up to this dump. So it went around me. So I couldn't get positioned in the futures. It is what it is. But that's how I approach the markets. Like, I just look at price. I only need price. I don't need the macro. I don't need anything. Once we lost the 50-day exponential moving average, that was the last support for Bitcoin. Once you lost that, you should have stopped looking for longs. That's when we were done looking for longs. We wanted to see Bitcoin hold here because Bitcoin spent many days building in support. Then it broke down. So the bears had it right here. But the fact that Bitcoin came right back and reclaimed the 50 kind of meant that the bulls weren't going out without a fight. And then this right here, this day, that should have been the day to tell you to stop looking for longs. It's over. It's over. That's an exhaustion move. That's exhaustion. So whenever you see exhaustion, you want to be positioned on the opposite side. That's hence the Saturday video. But anyway, we were looking for the exhaustion here as well. Did not get it. So there's no way you can try to buy this. Not yet. You got to allow it to build in support. There is no real obvious support down here. This is April's open. So the fact that we've literally given back all of April's gains in March or May going into June, that's not a good sign. April's low is right here. Now, if you take that out, you're going to make a lower low on the monthly, and it's going to look really, really nasty. I'm not even joking here. So it's dive bombing right now. So to try to jump in front of all that momentum, you're going to eat stop after stop after stop. It's going to be almost impossible. But anyways, right here, we're getting a move up on oil right now. So if oil's going to roll over here, this is last week's open. If it's going to roll over here, if this is a failed run, this is where I want to put that risk on. The reason I'm telling you that is because if you're looking at this chart is clearly heading lower. It is not going up. Now, you could argue that the macro doesn't support bearish oil, and I would agree with you 100%. But what I can say for my side is the chart is going lower. Price is heading lower. It's having a difficult time breaking under 88. It's weekly support. But I can also state the obvious statement that if it's under 94.61, the threat is lower, not higher. Next liquidation point to the upside is 104.91. Next liquidation point on the downside is 86.45. It seems like it would be a whole lot easier for price to get there from where it currently is than to get up here. Now, you did not liquidate this up here, so there is that threat that it still wants to just go here. This is a rejection. And if you look at this on a 4-hour time frame with your averages and all that stuff, yes, you could argue that it's making a rounding bottom here and it's going to break out. I would tell you, as long as you're under this, the threat is to the downside, not the upside. It could be shifting, but this is where we analyze price to see what's what. So, yeah, I mean, it could, but I know this is where I want to mitigate my risk at, and I can keep a short side bias all the way to here. That's it. Once price breaks out above this prior 8-hour swing high, I can no longer be bearish if it continues. Because at that point, it has essentially found support and is heading back up to the highs. So I can mitigate risk right here. I don't want to put that trade on as long as the euro dollar short is working. Because if the euro dollar short is working, then that means oil could be heading higher. They call it the freaking... the US dollar is literally the petrodollar. So they don't trade correlated all the time, but since the spike in oil, they have been basically trading pretty much correlated with one another. So looking for oil shorts and dollar shorts at the same time has been working, not every day, but on the long term. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Euro looks fine for now, and it is 9:30. So New York could pick this thing up here. It's just the way, it's just the way it gives you a chance to potentially play several markets. You will get stopped out of one. Hopefully the other works, right? Generally speaking. In terms of Nvidia, it literally found support yesterday and skyrocketed to the upside. Tesla may be finding support here. There's no real like key levels for me to look at. We've got a prior week open down here, but other than that, there's really nothing major. You've got this 3-day swing low right there. Once you break under that, and then you can't be looking for longs. But it kind of bounced up off that area a little bit aggressively here, so yeah, we may be seeing this thing get ready to bounce. Yeah, ETH looks like it. I mean, guys, you almost got to be a seller here. You can't really be a buyer. I don't love where it is. Obviously, I would much rather be selling the day high or close to prior day highs. If you look where yesterday's high is in relationship to your short side entry, you're shorting very far down in the range, and your target could literally only be right here. I get it. It's not a great setup. Not a great setup, not a whole lot of potential there. And support is right here. We know it's support. So we're literally trying to short right into support. And that's typically not what I want to do. But I'm going to try to get short here on oil while it's testing the weekly open. I already have the short on the euro, so it's kind of not the best trade to make, like I've already stated. But hopefully one of them prevails and the other one gets stopped out is kind of the way I'm looking at it. Well, if we give it a little bit more time, we might not even have to put on an entry. Because like I said, if you're above this, there's no point in putting a short on. Only if it gets up there and fails. But if it's going to fail, I want to see it fail soon. Because the New York bell is wrong. It rang 3 minutes ago. So if New York's going to fade this rally in oil, then they're going to have to start doing it soon, right? So we're going to need to see a 15-minute lower low at some point, right? So we might be able to just wait for that. Let that be our signal. And then we can throw our stop above this high. Because if it does make the lower low, and if we're right, it will start repricing lower. There's no point for us to put that risk on if it's continuing to push up. Because it's against us. We need it to go lower to make money if we're looking for shorts, correct? So there's no point in trying to fight that momentum. Clearly, there's a lot of bullish momentum in this asset. I do like that. I'm okay with the deltas like this, the cumulative volume delta. It's just an indicator that shows us who's the aggressor. And right now, because it's above the zero line, this dotted line right here is the zero line. That does indicate that the bulls are slightly more aggressive. But if we look at what happened yesterday, you can see that the bulls are not nowhere near as aggressive as they were yesterday at this time, right? You're at 9:30 a.m. Over here is 9:30 a.m. Look at where the bid volume was at that time compared to where it is here. Yeah, this could still be a sell for sure. You're going up on very light volume. Very light. Ethereum has still not broken down yet. That is absolutely nuts to me. Bonk has still not stopped me out yet either. Crazy. All right. Hopefully everybody had a fantastic weekend and everybody's having a fantastic morning. Yeah, we'll give oil just a second here to try to see what it wants to do. Being long bonk is a very dumb idea, but it could work. I'm looking at seller exhaustion. It looks like seller side exhaustion. The sellers are aggressive today, so not as aggressive as they were back here, but still aggressive. About as aggressive as they were yesterday. Volatility was on the floor, so if you're going to see an expansion in volatility, if that doesn't happen on a downside break, then the only logical conclusion is to think that it's probably going to be an upside break. I think we're going to need dollar weakness for that to play out. And then Bitcoin is currently making lower freaking lows again. Lower high, lower low. Yeah, don't ever try to buy into that. And here is vol. So look at vol. If you don't have this on your watch list, this chart, D-vol on Durabit. Durabit's the exchange. DV, it's Delta Victor Oscar Lima is the ticker. Delta Victor Oscar Lima, D-vol. It's advancing. Volatility is advancing. You don't buy that. Because what if volatility spikes all the way up to here? That means Bitcoin's going to dump well under April's open. We don't want to be a buyer when vol's expanding. We want to be a seller. We want to be taking profits when vol's expanding, when we're sellers. I would absolutely be taking profits down here, not putting on fresh entries. You also have VIX also on the move to the upside and not really seeing anything happening on these SPOOs. The SPOOs, this is going to be because of NVIDIA and other AI companies that are just absolutely ripping faces off right now. For whatever reason, people do not buy this AI move. They are not buying it. Well, absolutely they are buying it because it's ripping, but I still keep seeing all these people call this, call it like they're trying to short this move. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. But yeah, I would leave Bitcoin alone. I think your only hope for a crypto bounce is if the dollar breaks down, maybe Ethereum holds or something like Bonk does. Just be careful out there. All right, let me go keep an eye on oil. That's where the trade is, I think. It's the only one that's pulled back that is offering a potential setup. So I didn't see if we made that lower 15-minute low. It does look like we did. We did, because it's just a 5-minute low. All right, so that could be your signal, and you could simply get a stop right there. Boom. Make sure you're not risking more than 1% on the trade, because obviously the risk is out there that oil could continue to rally, or the macro backdrop still supports some macro or a rally on oil. I don't think it's rallying. It's obviously on the larger time frames heading lower, but it could have found support. We won't know until time moves on, who's right or who's wrong. But generally what we've learned, or at least people in my community have learned, is people that go against what I think is going to happen don't usually do so good in the long term. They might be right 1 or 2 days here and there, but it's not going to look good long term. I'm not going by the macro. That's what I'm applying my edge. My edge is this is going lower, therefore that's the trade to put on until you get a breakout and then things start to change around a bit, right? Then I'm wrong. But for right now, still heading lower. Not today and not yesterday. Or this week. This week it is going up. But yesterday it did retrace a lot of that upside at an objective level. So I'm not the only one that thought oil was going to go lower from 94.61. Now, could this just be a pullback and the longs are loading up right now? Absolutely, it could be. It is Tuesday. So the weekly low could be in. Or the weekly high could be in. Well, right here's the weekly low. So we don't know which is which yet. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. We don't need any of that. This is a current weekly range. There's your weekly low. There's your weekly high. You're in the middle of it. So it's literally anybody's guess. The bulls are assuming you're going to make a fresh week high. The bears are assuming you're going to make a fresh week low. One of them may be right. Weekly volumes, kind of testing that right now. So if we kill the moving averages on the smaller time frames, because I never look at them anyways, then I would say, yeah, you got a lot of bullish momentum here. Bulls, you look like you've got it. But I'm still short. I will quit being short when what? When we start making higher highs. That's where my stop is. So start making higher highs, I'll be done. And then maybe the bulls are right. All right. Let me go over these questions real quick while we're just waiting for these things to start to make their expansion happen, or they already could be expanding. This is clearly more bullish than bearish on the near term. You did clearly break out above resistance. This is your resistance. Then this candle's midpoint is under. The midpoint is above the resistance. That's generally a good sign for bulls. So chances are the oil trade's going to be stopped out. That's generally a good sign for bulls. If it's going to be weak, you kind of don't want to see a strong close above the level that you're kind of focusing on. And like I said, because Euro did roll over a little bit here off these highs pretty significantly and quickly, I would say it's probably going lower. If you get under one spot 16388, the Euro bears are right. Very choppy, very difficult trading conditions here on the Euro. There has been zero trend. Zero. A few hours, and that's it. Reversal right in your face. Reversal. Reversal. It's like crazy sauce out there right now, man. But this is a clean setup. I alerted this trade earlier this morning when this 30-minute candle was pushing up, and then this candle pushed up a little bit higher. But I mean, the alert was still there in terms of I'm looking for Euro shorts. I would much rather be looking for Euro longs, but obviously I wouldn't be trying to buy Euro up here on the high of day, right? I don't like that. But I mean, support is right here. Daily support is here, but the 200 is obviously a massive potential support. The only reason I'm looking for the short is because right here's daily supply. It's not a perfect daily supply candle because yesterday did not close under the lows. But nonetheless, we're retracing yesterday's range. As long as you're trading under yesterday's open, which is your weekly open, I would argue that the pressure is to the downside. Now, stop thinking that once you start closing daily candles back above this. I will be right back to bullish on the Euro. But this is me just trying to front run that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think last week's 21 test on the dollar was just that, a 21 test. Because of what Bitcoin's doing, how it's getting nuked right now, it kind of feels like people are starting to come around for higher dollar prices. Like, energy has been elevated for so long at this point, inflation's coming, right? Trump thought it was going to be another one of those Venezuela type of scenarios, and unfortunately it ain't. So whatever his intentions were, obviously it is not going as planned. We don't need that. That is clearly a lie. The daily 21's all the way down here. But yeah, that's generally what we're looking for on shorts. And I mean, we like 50 tests on the RSI. So the best short would have been on Friday. But there would have been plenty of bullish momentum on Friday, so getting positioned would have been difficult. You would have probably got stopped out. And a lot of people are going to look at this as support and get long. So that's basically what we're sussing out here today. Who's right? Bears or bulls? Bears or bulls? If the bears are right, you're probably going to see a trending move on the euro this week, as you haven't seen a trending move on the euro since the last 3 weeks. 2 weeks. This week will be 3. So, I mean, I can see why the bulls would have bought down there. But for me to be a buyer, this would have had to close above the 21. It's still very strong in terms of the weekly 50. This is just a support test. I can absolutely see why people would be buying. One spot 16013. All right. Bitcoin's still making lower lows. ETH has not bounced yet. And neither has Bonk. It probably won't if the dollar starts to break out. But some alts are doing okay here because of that, I guess. Yeah, Pingu's breaking down. Pingu's trending lower. Be aware on taking fresh shorts on Bitcoin or Pingu today, because you are oversold. Not the time to put shorts on. Up here is where you want to be putting shorts on. Anywhere in here. Use the RSI to help guide you. It's not the end all be all. Obviously, as you close 2 days here above the 50, bam and bam. But quickly it resolved right back under. That would have been the sell signal. And then as long as you're holding daily res or daily supply, you want to be a seller. So you could have been a seller literally any one of these 3 days right here, based on what your momentum oscillator was telling you. But we don't want to be trying to buy it because it's in the oversold. That's not how we use the indicator. We use the indicator to show us who has momentum, not buy over bought or oversold and sell over bought. That's not how we use it. We want to look for those positions in and around the 50. Bitcoin is clearly getting nuclearized here. Terrorized to the downside. Circle, yeah, I'll take a look at that in a second. June 30 is the EOQ, end of quarter. Yes, it is. It always is. Oh, you were responding to somebody else. Also, new quarter. No, new quarter's next month. Q3 always starts in July. Hype, yeah, it's probably still doing really good. Riot is also doing good based on AI. Hyperliquid is probably running out of steam. Wouldn't be a short, though. It can still keep going. It broke out well above 70 and is at 73 now. This is a higher low. So if you were looking for longs on hype, you're supposed to be looking for them at or around prior day lows. If you're looking to be a long, at or around prior day lows. Oh, people are buying right at yesterday's low. Now, the sellers could still be right, as you're going to have day open sellers and high day sellers, but it's not a trade that we would be interested in. Not even slightly. But it looks good. If you're holding longs, continue to hold them. I see no reason to close them. XLM is at a potential level of support. I'll just go ahead and talk about that one because I know someone's going to ask about it. I mean, I don't like it. It's got bearish momentum. But if you're looking for longs, I think the long should have held here at or around the prior day's low. It did not. So now you got to look for a lower support. And I mean, the bears have the momentum. And so far, it doesn't look good. You're printing lower highs on the 4 hour. This isn't the only way that I would be interested in buying here on XLM, because it's daily support. I get it. But the only way I would be interested in buying here is if it can hold. The only way to know if that's going to happen is to get long and set a stop. That's it. That's the only way to know. I would not like it, but it could hold. I would have liked to have seen that support come in higher. I want to see higher low support. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, not lower lows. You don't have lower lows yet, to be fair. And if you do make lower lows, it can only be for like a brief moment in time and then price reclaims it. Like for liquidations or whatnot, but it could ultimately end up being a support zone. The only area that you could be a buyer on XLM would be at daily support right here. And I would just have a stop around the current day lows. The buyers or the sellers are the aggressors today as well. But it is quite bullish. You're just trying to see if the buyers want to come up here. I don't like this chart long term. I've said that many times. Yes, it tends to go on these gigantic spikes, but they tend to be faded long term. Gigantic spike, faded long term. Gigantic spike, if this continues, it's going to be faded long term. That's not my kind of investable asset. I know people love crypto and they're in crypto because of the crazy moves that it makes. But long term, I want to invest in an asset that trends from the bottom left to the top right. This does not do that. This is sideways AF. Yeah, it's not a great investable asset. It's only a trade. It would only be a scalp. Not something I would want to hold long term. I can make that argument almost about Ethereum if it continues to do what it's doing. I mean, Ethereum has been sideways since 2021. Ethereum, if I'm looking at ETH as an investable asset and I'm going out 10 years. I mean, it's 2026. So hypothetically, 2016 is where I'd want to look to. And yeah, it kind of does do that. But I would also be able to say, well, for the last 4 years, this thing hasn't done anything. It has, though, obviously. From $1,000 up to $5,000 is a massive move. But if you're setting in it, the value of that would be about $3,000. You're setting in a loss for a long time. That's a difficult asset to invest in, to own long term. Not really good. All right, so Euro's continuing to push. It's getting close. Trying to see, where is that day low at? So the day low is at 1.16289. That's about where you're going to want to scale out, as there is support under that. Forget about the moving averages on an intraday time frame. They don't matter. 1700 hours is your open in FX. So that wick right there is your day low. Probably want to try to start scaling out down in here if it gets down there. Oil still has not broken out. It hasn't rolled over, but it hasn't broken out either. It did make a higher high. Enjoy my HPQ position. Personally, good times. Oh, Hewlett Packard. Did you take the short on oil? Yes, I'm short oil. Morning. Still makes money trading. SIVE. Is that a... I don't know what this is. It's a semiconductor. For who? I don't see NYSE or NASDAQ here. I see OMXSTO or BX or OTC. You tell me which one of these. I have no clue. This is obviously not investable in America. If it's a Swedish company, then you want to look at it there. Yeah, it's absolutely ripping. It's not something that I could buy or would want to either. I mean, it's ripping. The semiconductors in America are ripping as well. Anything that has to do with AI right now is on fire. It's a matter of time before you're just going to have any random companies come out and talk about how they're pivoting to AI. So they can also join in on the FOMO. It looks like AI is going to be the play of the summer. Every summer we go through this. Every single year. Every year. Something is hot and the rest of the market is just bleh. Right? Every year. Sometimes it's crypto, and obviously not when crypto's in a bear market. This year it's AI. It's absolutely on fire. Yeah, I'm still holding it, but I mean, I would have been stopped out had I had to stop out, right? It looks like it wants to go up, and because the euro short is heading lower, kind of feels like the oil short isn't going to work, right? Look, it's 10 o'clock also. Oh, if New York is selling it, it's got to start going lower at some point. That doesn't mean you need to short it, right? It just means you're probably wrong if you're still looking for the short. It should already be heading lower, not higher. It's still making higher highs. That's a fresh higher high. That's probably going to break out to the upside soon. The more time that goes by for the New York session, each candle that closes, I don't care if you're looking at a 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, 4-hour, each candle close. If your trade is not working, each time that candle closes, your probabilities are shrinking by each closure. We're looking for the downside expansion. This thing has not been able to make lower lows yet, and we're 30 minutes into the open. So it needs to start making lower lows, or I'm bailing on this idea, as it's not working. Euro is working, so that's telling me that the dollar is rallying. And it is. It's right back up to the open again. So the dollar is holding support. It was down here when we started the stream. It's up here now. Looks like it's getting ready to break out to me. Whatever this does, this is probably going to follow. It's the other way around. Whatever this does, this is going to follow. But is it possible that it's still just a stop run? Very slightly possible. Yes, I guess. You're kind of going to need some headlines to support the short side of this thing. The dollar has kind of structured itself back to bullish on the near term, on daily charts. So now that's going to be a fight for dollar bears. I think the dollar is probably going to be a lot sideways until we hear Kevin Warsh speak. So Ethereum it's starting to head lower now, huh? Let's see. It's weekly. It's not broken down yet, but it's trying to. It's just a matter of time, and Ethereum's probably going to drop like a brick shit house, just like Bitcoin. Remember, Ethereum is strong compared to Bitcoin. The dollar continues to rally. ETH is going to roll. It just didn't give us a great setup. The better trade was up here. I hope you can see that. It's not just in hindsight. That's where you want to look to position for shorts. In and around prior day highs. Because in order to make money on a short, you need lower highs and lower lows. Occasionally, you will get a higher high, like you did here on Saturday. It took out Friday's high, but it didn't last for very long. Notice how quickly price got right back under it and then took off to the downside. Oh, that's Saturday's high. Sorry. This is Sunday. So, I mean, it is possible that oil does hold here. It is still under the 8-hour high. I mean, there's an hour and 55 minutes left on this candle. To be fair, oil, this could close as a bearish candle still. There's still enough time for that to happen. Almost 2 hours. Yeah, it could happen. So this is resistance. It's an untested resistance. This candle just opened, so I definitely want to see lower lows. And if it doesn't happen in this 30-minute block, the next 30-minute block better give me lower lows, or I'm bailing on the idea. Euro is kind of like stuck. It's not, it did make the lower lows and everything, but it's not like breaking down. It's just taking its sweet time. And bonk is headed lower. So the buyers just could not do it. They tried. Just could not do it. Yeah, I didn't figure they were going to. Not with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just killing the crypto market. Just lower low after lower low after lower low, man. Buyers have been trying to buy every single lower low. And they just continuously do that. And they are the people that is keeping this dropping. This will not stop dropping until the last person has given up on the long idea. Once that person, the last person out there in the entire world is like, screw it, I'm done, I've already blowed my account, that's when Bitcoin bounces. Because there is no more liquidity to get. The last person quit. He got out, he's out of the market, he's done. Once that happens, price has to go up. Trying to time that is impossible. You're just gonna be in a world of pain forever and ever when you're trying to buy these kind of lows like this. Don't do it. Look at the selling aggression, man. You want to be a buyer when the buyers have the aggression. I would argue that the buyers haven't really had much aggression. They had good aggression there, but that day was faded. Boom. This was that one Tuesday that we were long. We had reclaimed the 50 EMA. And the buyers looked like they were going to take it. There was also... Wasn't there some kind of... There was some kind of news that day, I think. Maybe not. No, that news I'm talking about happened over here. This was that banking committee voted on the Clarity Act. That right there kind of made me a little bit more bearish. That should have been good news. Bitcoin should have held higher lows after that. It couldn't do it then, so pretty much. But here, once you lost the 50, reclaimed it, and then lost it again, that's it. That's it. There goes your last and final support. I've been saying for the last several months, as long as Bitcoin's trading above this price, I will have a bullish bias on it. If it's trading under it, I will be bearish. It's as simple as that. This is a huge, huge price point. Michael Saylor has ineffectively become the risk for Bitcoin. Now look where price is in comparison to that level. Looks pretty nasty. You're almost $10,000 lower. I think you're going to need dollar weakness for Bitcoin to stop going lower, and you just don't have that right now. Like Brandon said, when energy is expensive, it makes it hard for the miners, guys. And the Trump deal, we have a deal, we don't have a deal stuff, it's like a DDoS attack on the brain. For real. Just ignore it. Trade the technicals. Forget about the news. Now, news has been making the technicals shit as of late, but there's nothing we can do about that. That's why we mitigate risk. But you definitely don't want to be trying to buy a falling knife. That is no way to do it. Are there any stocks or ETFs we should buy and hold for long-term strategies? Right now, man, obviously I'm not trying to, but the only thing that's hot right now is AI. So if it's got something to do with AI, you could probably participate in the momentum. My issue with trying to participate now is literally you're trying to do that after everything is massively overbought. Nvidia pulled back. So like this is when you're looking to buy on pullbacks. Nvidia is the leader. You had a clear and obvious buy opportunity here on Nvidia. That's when you're looking to buy. Always moving forward, and until like it's no longer working. Then once it's no longer working, you stop. I liked the idea of buying Microsoft for a long-term hold, but that was 2 weeks ago. Now Microsoft has broken out, so now you're trying to buy momentum, and momentum is difficult to buy. I wouldn't try to buy it today. Microsoft might be a buy tomorrow. But in order for me to get involved with Microsoft tomorrow, Microsoft needs to close like down today. I need it to stay relatively close to the lows. So that way tomorrow, as it's chopping around the lows, I could be a buyer. Does that make sense? So Microsoft may be an opportunity here in the next day or so, but there's a lot of momentum. A lot of eyes are on it now. And if it starts closing days back under the 200, this is going to look like a failed breakout. So we definitely want to see it maintain bullish pressure above the breakout point. If it's going to remain strong, it should have no problems doing that. But other than that, yeah, I don't know of any. There are stock picking YouTube channels out there, guys. Unfortunately, a lot of them are going to have you buying highs, but that's the way people do it. They buy what's hot. You buy what's hot, leave what's not alone. Or you could look for breakout patterns. I like Meta too, but Meta is not, it's still holding support. So if it can continue to do this, I will like it. We also liked Palantir, but we didn't buy Palantir because on the week's platform, we could only buy 20 contracts, and that's not worth putting that money to work because you would need a gigantic breakout to make money on it with that small of a position size. So it did break out. It kind of looks and is acting like Microsoft today. Somebody wanted to see coin. Coin, as long as Bitcoin looks bad, coin is a sell. Coin is a sell. Unfortunately, it was trying to hold support through here, and then it lost it right there on that day. So from this day forward, we would have been a seller on coin, not a buyer. You've got to reclaim that daily 21 exponential moving average. Your bears are in control of this asset. It's not typically when we want to buy stuff. And if you look at the weekly, it's even worse. You look at the weekly, I could have been a seller on it right here once that week closed under. I would have been a seller at weekly res every week after. Yeah, Coinbase is going to struggle while Bitcoin is because they own so much Bitcoin. It affects their overall balance sheet. Coinbase had a terrible Q1. Terrible Q1. One part of their business made $200 million. So Instead of Coinbase losing $600 million in Q1, they only lost $400 million. That's a lot of money to lose when you're a $5 billion business. It's going to be directly correlated to Bitcoin. The moves aren't directly correlated on an intraday basis, but still, I mean, Bitcoin's doing shitty right now, so is Coinbase. Makes it difficult to be a buyer. In terms of long-term buy and hold, I still believe in Bitcoin. Just because Bitcoin is bearish right now doesn't mean that in 5 years it will be. But it makes it hard to be a buyer on Bitcoin as long as the strategy's cost basis is so high. Now, with that being said, I still am buying Bitcoin for my portfolio, long hold portfolio. But I'm buying Bitcoin. I'm not buying stocks tied to Bitcoin. I am buying Bitcoin. I'm not buying ETFs. I'm not buying MicroStrategy. I am buying Bitcoin, then sending the Bitcoin off exchange to cold storage. You don't own Bitcoin, not your keys, not your coins. I think there's no point in even participating in Bitcoin if you're just buying ETFs and things like that. I understand the reason for ETFs. You're just not going to be able to get everybody on board with learning how to buy Bitcoin on exchange and buy a cold storage wallet and all that stuff. You're not gonna talk everybody into doing that. So I get it, but ultimately Bitcoin's only going to succeed if people use it as money, if people accept it as payment. Bitcoin does not succeed long term if it's only a hedge against inflation. So we need people to go the further step, not just buy Bitcoin. You need to buy Bitcoin, you need to run a node, and then you need to use the Bitcoin. It has to be money. So I like Bitcoin for what it could be in the future. I think the risk is too great to not own Bitcoin. But yeah, the only hot stocks are AI. Other than that, there ain't much. Right now, some energy stocks are doing good, and some banking stocks are doing good. But there are long-term, like Coca-Cola does good long-term. Be careful with retail, though. Any stock in the retail space right now, retail's getting, like, look at Walmart. It's getting kind of beat up. I do ultimately believe that it will be a buying opportunity. It's actually getting to the point now to where people are going to be keeping an eye on it. So there might be an opportunity on Walmart here. Costco. Where is Costco? It's right there. It's also pulling back, but it lost its 50, so that's not a good sign. But retail's taking a beating right now for some reason. Well, I know why. It's gas. Gas prices are huge in America. That's going to affect retail. People are going to stop spending money when they have to pay $18 a gallon for gas. But yeah, any tech stock, your hyperscalers, anything that has to do with AI, probably long term is going to be a good buy until 2030. There's an expected $7 trillion to be spent between now and 2030. So these companies that are high flyers right now, even though it looks madly expensive, they're probably going to be doing way better than this by 2030. You might start seeing them pull back around 2029 as people start taking profits and all that. But yeah, I'm mostly a technical analyst or a price action analyst. Not so much a technical analyst, but yeah. I'm not a stock picker. There was a wick on weeks on oil that stopped me. WTF. Yeah, that's gonna happen, man. What are you on? I'm on CL. I'm not on BX anymore, or B, whatever that was, Brent crude, sorry, was it on that? What was it even? I don't even remember what it was. BRZ. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see what it is. Trade 5, demo stocks, commodities. Yeah, it's BZUSDT. Yes, it does exist. Yeah, I'm not seeing any wicked wick there. I'm not sure what wick you're referring to. I don't have a nasty wick on me. I mean, maybe this one. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great. It's not looking great here. It made a lower low, but instantly bounced up off that low. That's not a great sign. It does look like the sellers are starting to take back control of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it doesn't feel good. Dollar's ripping here. Oil's probably going to follow suit. There goes ETH. Puke. Yep. Kind of what we thought. That's why I signaled the euro dollar short this morning. It's literally the first trade that I put in the Discord, because it's literally the only trade that was pulling back, giving us a valid entry. One of the only ones. Silver was also pulling back, giving us a valid entry. Now this one I would not have been filled on it. This one most likely would have left without me, as I would have been looking at resistance or the prior swing high. So my entry would have been right setting in this area here, and you can see how this wick did not come up there. So you would have had to chase this one down in order to even get involved with it. But yeah, I said if dollar firms up, this is going to roll over. Same with euro. And then to get long for dollar weakness was bonk. And this one's breaking down. So it's going to leave the silver and euro trades the only ones that are still open. See, now you've got volatility expanding on the breakdown too. So what we were looking for here did not play out. It should have played out when you got that spike, but when it ultimately didn't go up and make higher highs, that's when I was basically just rolling my eyes at it. Because what I said specifically during the live stream yesterday is I wanted to see this rally up strong out of this area, and then maybe look for like a midpoint check to get long. Show us that sell side exhaustion. Didn't really do it. And then to see Bitcoin just getting nuked all day long. Yeah, no. Crypto is not where it is. Not today. Unless you're short. If you're short, you're doing great. And my futures account is not doing so hot right now because I have been not getting in any of these big trending trades. Up here, I was bullish. So once I lost that, it was try to position short. There wasn't any good entries. This entry right here wouldn't have been the best entry. This right here was also one that we missed out on, and that ended up putting in a trending move. So I did not want to miss out on this. This was the secondary for that larger leg lower, and ultimately that wick got me. I wish I would not have put a stop loss on that in hindsight, because it would have been fine had I not had a stop loss out. I honestly thought we were going to get a tag of that freaking level. It wasn't even this one. I would have been fine chasing it down to this high. We discussed it in depth on Sunday. In depth. We were watching that near-term resistance that was beautiful on that 30-minute. It just didn't hold right here. It did hold. It did hold to give us the sell entry. So I took it then. It just didn't get any downside continuation. Came right back up. Popped the stops. Then traded sideways volatilely. And then rolled over. That's why I was so pissed off yesterday. But I mean, the euro trade will work. It's probably going to trend this week, if I had to make a guess. It doesn't look that great right now, but it will look good, hopefully, once it starts to get going. I figure we'll get at least a multi-day run out of it. But I mean, it is still very choppy. So if today closes like this, then tomorrow it'll probably try to stop out everybody who got short today. And it will still be worth watching tomorrow. Unfortunately, it'll make tomorrow's entries a whole lot worse or harder. But I mean, we kind of want to see that soon. Got to break down under that, close down in here. I'll feel better about it. Oil isn't moving. It's literally sideways. This looks like longs are trying to hold support. It's trying to hold support above the weekly VWAP for a weekly range expansion to the upside. Right now, you're bullish on the week, so last week's open is the near-term resistance, but it is not. I mean, it's not doing a very good job of holding. The real resistance is the 8-hour swing high. That's it. As long as you're above that, that's where you need to be stopped out. That's the risk mitigation point. Oh, entry, it could be here still. Stop loss there. Because it's above that. That's when we no longer have an edge. As long as it's below this, we still have an edge. It's a very slight edge. It would be a lot better if this was down. Like if we were seeing the deltas break down under neutral, the edge would feel a lot better. As long as you're under this, the edge is still valid. Because once you get above this, the next liquidation point is up here. That's why we no longer want to be short. Because we know that if price breaks out above this, it'll probably grind all the way to here. Just the way I mitigate risk anyways. All right. I can't answer why that happens. Why do wicks happen? I mean, it's volatility. It's intraday chaos. It's stuff that we as retail traders or nobody on the planet Earth can predict. It's because I'm not the only guy that trades like this out there. There are millions of us. It's just that simple. I mean, this is why I keep, I want to let people know you have to be good at mitigating risk. You want your losses to remain small, very small. So that means in order to do that, you got to take entries that are smaller than the entries that you want to take. You want to take entries that are big so that way you can make the most money when you're right. You got to do it the opposite of that. You got to risk a very small amount of money. So this way, you're not, it just makes it easier on you. It makes it easier on your emotions and everything else. You're still going to get mad when you get stopped out. That's never going to change. I was so mad yesterday, I could throw my keyboard out the window. And I'm not even losing money. You know what I mean? It wasn't even, it's not even about getting stopped out. I was mad because Bitcoin had been sideways for 4 days prior to me even getting in an entry. I get in the entry, then I get stopped out, and then it trends literally 2 days in a row. And the trend is so freaking big that it takes out the entire, all of last week's range. I was mad. Yeah, you're never going to get over that. I haven't gotten over it yet, and I've been trading from my home for years. I still get very pissed off when I get stopped out and then price goes on. I guess it's just easier for me because I know eventually I will catch one, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. And those are going to be the ones that bring my portfolio or bring my P&L out of the abyss. I paid myself. If you remember, because I kept getting those warnings prompted on my screen about I'm not in the right location or whatever. That's what BitGet started doing to me right before BitGet was like, yo, we're not going to let America trade with us anymore. So I quit keeping the same amount of money on exchange at that point. Once I get that, I'm like, okay, they're getting ready to boot me. I'm going to go ahead and keep that money down. So each time I get up to 10K, I rip it all right back off exchange. All of it. And I start all over from a very small amount. In the last 2 weeks, it has been very difficult, and my account is still very small. So I haven't even gotten that one nice win yet to give myself a room, a buffer. So I have to be very selective here until the account starts to grow. Once you get up into the 2s and the 3s and the 4Ks, then you can trade multiple things. And then it's like it takes no time for the account to bang off that 10K, because you can run 10 trades at one time. But right now it's like one at a time until it builds up enough to where I can be in 2 or 3. That's when the money starts to happen. That's the way it always is. Every time I pay myself, it's always like that. It takes a little bit of time to build in the cushion. Once you have the cushion, boom, you're there in no time. But yeah, this was a big move to miss on Bitcoin. I do own puts, so my long-term portfolio is good, but dude, we are a dog's nut hair away from making fresh monthly lows down here. Fresh monthly lows. I would almost think about buying Bitcoin or taking a long scalp on Bitcoin now because you've moved so far in 2 days. The problem is volatility hasn't topped out. This is the reason why I'm not doing that. Vol is on the highs. It's expanding at a rapid pace now and on the highs. You can't buy Bitcoin when this is happening. That literally means the downside ranges are getting bigger. But if the vol wasn't this expanded because of Bitcoin's weekly range, see how big the weekly range is compared to last week and the week prior? Today's only Tuesday. This weekly candle could end up closing down here, judging by how much it's moved so far. Is it going to? Probably not. Look at these last 2 days. Ranges are bigger than any other of these down days. For the week open, you're like 2 standard deviations at this point. It's getting probably close to bouncing, but it's still so risky to try to take it. I wouldn't. Leave it alone. Let volatility top out. Once vol tops out, then it'll be the time to start looking for the Bitcoin bids. The VIX is kind of done. It's red on the day, but it gapped up, so that's the risk. Yeah, I don't know why Bitcoin's getting annihilated here. I mean, obviously people are selling it. Everybody's freaking out. When people freak out, you get these kind of big emotional moves, and you don't want to try to buy those. But yeah, the Bitcoin I bought at 67K last time, it's literally right back there. So it's right back in the middle of range. So it is a buying op for the long-term hold. Anything in the middle of this would be considered value. But I'm holding that for, 5, 10, 20 years. I'm not, I don't really care about it. It's not anything, it's nothing, it's not going to affect my life. I'm using money that is not going to affect my life in the slightest. If Bitcoin were to drop to zero, it would suck, but I can still pay my bills and all that, right? That's the best way to be a Bitcoin long. With money you're not afraid to lose. But it is getting close to that. But at this point, there's no, like I said, there's no real key supports under price. You've got the monthly open. April's open right here now. And then April's low. Those are going to be your last 2 support zones. And then Feb's low is right there. So, I mean, it looks like bear market or 4-year proponent market cycle bears looking for fresh year lows are starting to lick their chops a little bit. They're still counting their chickens before they hatch, but there is no real key support under Bitcoin. You've lost it. You've lost what support you had. It's gone. You've got the weekly 200. That's it. That's it. You lose that, it's over. There's no reason why it couldn't keep dropping. Unfortunately. And now that Ethereum is dropping, yeah, it looks rough out there. But it always does. It always, what's the Batman quote? Dusk is always darkest right before the dawn or some shit. It's the same way in markets. It's the same way. Bitcoin will rally when everybody least expects it to. But it is what it is. There's nothing to do with it. Not right here, right now, unless it's for the long term. There goes that nasty drop on ETH. Range expansion. Bam. This can trend for the rest of the day. Yeah, we needed dollar weakness. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something might be happening here. Something might be happening here. Yeah, the Euro trade ain't working out so good now. Look at that. So oil might be getting ready to fall over. Got lower highs and lower lows now. Well, that's good. Yeah, I hope oil makes fresh weekly lows. I do. It's still got a lot of work to do. I would like to see it moving a little bit aggressive, more aggressive than this, because the dollar is, but the dollar is making these markets very difficult to trade. It's not just you guys that are struggling. I am struggling too. You can't really do much in a sideways market like that. But when the dollar starts to make a move, because it's been in this range for so long, the good news is we know what to look for, right? We know what to look for. We know we stay pretty much consistently on the right side of the dollar. Good news is you're going to be closing weekly candles back under the 21 before you ever break down. And the same can be said about the weekly 50. You will be closing candles above the weekly 50 before you ever break out to the upside. And that's the range for the dollar. If you can break out above Q4's high or this low, you will almost certainly go into a macro trending move to where you get multiple months in the same direction. And we will catch it. We won't be in it for the entire time, but we will make money out of it. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. Big range to break here. And has macro. Like, I'm talking about some shit like this. Or even something like this. That's okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll catch a big move. Another thing that I think will be very, very helpful for. Sorry about that, guys. I just got handed a piece of important paper that I took a glance at. But is the yen. Obviously, this is going to be something that is very important because right now you have this scenario in the USD JPY that it's unshortable. It's unshortable because of A, the funding rates, and then B, the trend. So like think about this: if you're a multi-million dollar or multi-billion dollar investor and you're looking to participate in yen strength or dollar weakness, however, you can't do it here. A, because the trend just is not conducive for that positioning. And then B, you pay a lot of money to hold that position. Unless you have something worked out with an exchange or a broker dealer directly and you get some kind of discount on funding fees. They're not called funding fees in Forex, they're called rollover rates. But I am almost 100% positive. I don't care how much money you got, you're not going to be able to do anything because that's how the market makers get paid. They get paid those rollover rates. That's what provides the liquidity for everybody else. So yeah, in terms of rollover rates, it costs you so much money to hold this for more than a day short. And because it is not trending, not really, not for a long time, it is trending slightly to the upside, but like for the short, it is not, right? So there's no two-sided trade that is taking part in this asset. It's either buy USD JPY or don't do anything at all. And it has been like that since 2021. Now, there were a couple periods in here where we did take the opposite side of the USD JPY trade and we did make quite a bit of money on it. But there were other scenarios happening during those times. Right? Other macro reasons, not just the carry trade. So they need to shrink. You either need the USD to cut or JPY needs to hike. That carry needs to shrink. That rollover rate needs to shrink before you will even see money come in to this thing for downside or two-sided trade. Right now, it's just get long and hold it because you get paid so good to hold longs. And that's what you have here. Now, this is also what's keeping stocks like Nvidia and things like that propped up. So I'm not sure what's going to change there, or if any will change. We could have already seen that change take place. For the entire time that Nvidia was sideways, we could have seen the carry trade get fixed to where there wasn't so much risk out there on the carry unwind. So it might not affect risk markets in such a way. Who knows? Only time will tell. But I can tell you right now, until the 16th of this month, I will not be looking for shorts on USD JPY. Why would I do that when I can get paid $1 on every 10,000 units long I hold? And this thing isn't trending. So clearly, if I want to make money in USD JPY, the only way to do that is to set and hold long trades. This is what's keeping the dollar from breaking down. So many people are just long this. And also Euro's a shitbag too. Nobody wants to hold long euros against the dollar. So you just have this macro backdrop that's not conducive for short side dollar trades. And it's kept this thing chopped up for a solid year. Oh, how I long to see this thing break down and then trend lower for at least a couple of months. At least a couple of months. The last time you had a multi-month trending move on this thing was early 2025. So we're probably going to see it soon on the dollar. We're probably going to get a multi-month trending move, either on the upside break or the downside break. I think Bitcoin requires a downside break. All right, would you look at the hyperliquid chart? Yeah, we looked at the hyperliquid chart already. It's right here. What is it specifically that you want me to look at? That it's up? Yeah, I see that. I mean, there's not a position to take here. You're massively overbought. You should be taking profits up here. And I know that's not what most people want to hear, obviously. But if you're trading the way you're supposed to be and investing the way you're supposed to be, then you are taking profits. That's what overbought signals. It signals, hey, this thing has been going up for quite some time and is now probably a good time to shed some of your position. It isn't a short signal, but it definitely is not a buy signal. There's really nothing you can do with this. You are at 87 on the weekly RSI. 87. I want you to look at what happened to silver when it got massively overbought like this on the weekly time frame. Right? Massively overbought. You started to see a lot of volatility in both directions. You had huge upside swings and huge downside swings. It's not the time to look to be invested in it. Now that momentum is dried up a little bit and you've had time to test support, maybe you could make the argument to be investing in XAG again now that you're back down to the 50. And then if it holds and you get the move in your direction, once you get back to overbought again, that's when you'd be taking profits again. In my opinion, it's still over expensive. You're still trading at prices higher than I got out of my silver at. I still own silver. I didn't sell it all, but I did get rid of a nice big chunk of it. And I started selling my silver above 50. I started to get out. I sold some under 50 and I sold some over 50. You're still $20 higher than where I started to sell my silver. But why did I start selling at 50? Right here at 41, 42, you're overbought. Yes, all of this right here is impossible. All of it. All of that's impossible to know it's going to happen. You could set and hold it and wait and hope that happens. But there's a really good chance once you start to get into these levels, you're going to get stopped, or you're going to get pinched, or you're going to buy and be setting in a way too expensive silver, which is typically what happens. Yeah, there really isn't anything for me to tell you to do on hyperliquid. If you're long from like 45 or 40 or 50, I would tell you can continue to hold, but you need to set a trailing stop or something. It doesn't have to be a complete exit. It could be a take profit trailing stop. Just something. There really isn't any. I mean, if you don't want to do weekly lows, do 3-day lows. You're not going to be able to do daily lows because there's a really good chance if you put a trailer up there to Monday's low, you're probably going to get hit tomorrow. And you're going to be out. But yeah, I mean, it's in the midst of a short squeeze, so it could continue to go higher. It could stay overbought for the next 6 months, and it could get up to insane prices. So I mean, but there's no way for me to tell you where that's going to be, right? It is very much extended on an upside, and that's all I can tell you about it. Like, I know some people are trying to short it. They've been trying to short it since it hit 60, and now you're at 72. So it's definitely not a short, but it's not a buy either. The only people that need to be participating in this market are people that are taking profits. Those are the only people that should be participating. And eventually, it's very volatile, though. If you want to operate on the small time frames, then you can be a scalper. Like, you can take scalp shorts, but you have to be quick to take profits because the trend it's moving up. It's not moving down. But there are opportunities. You could potentially get in at resistance and then get, 2 candles, 3 maybe in your direction. But that's when you want to be getting out. You don't want to be holding shorts. Otherwise, you're going to get ran over. Right here, the sellers took it for a trap. And then the buyers ran it right back up into their faces. Right now, you're currently building in higher lows. So I would argue that until you get a lower low, the chances are that it's going to go higher still. But there really isn't any edge in any of this that I'm saying to you now. Like, I try to focus on charts that have edge, at least some kind of edge. There is none here. You're trading under last week's high, so maybe you could mitigate risk there, but that's right where price is trading right this second. So like getting involved there on a short is going to be difficult. As where are you going to put your stop? Here or up here? Nobody knows what price is going to do. It looks really good. Longs are getting paid. Let's see what the funding rate is doing on it, though. Funding rate is slightly paying the sellers. I would rather see what the annualized funding rate looks like. But, yeah, I mean, on the 8-hour funding rate basis, the sellers have a slight edge, but it's a very small percentage. It's not enough to put the risk on, in my opinion. If the sellers were getting paid a huge funding rate, then maybe. But if the sellers are getting paid a huge funding rate, then this thing is way too volatile to trade. Just, yeah. It is what it is. There's nothing to do. Good morning, Tesla, please. Yeah, Tesla might be building in support. I said that this morning when the stream started. It traded down to an area that we were interested in. So we wanted to see that level hold. All it was a prior 3-day high. That's it. Nothing key, nothing major. We know that it is bullish. So we know we only want to be operating in upside trades right now on Tesla. Now, that could change this week or next. I'm not quite sure when SpaceX is going to be live trading. SpaceX right now is trading at $197 a share. But when the market opens, when it starts trading on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, wherever it's going to be trading, the futures could reprice hard. So what I mean by that is we can trade SpaceX. Now, we don't know. I mean, anybody that wanted to get involved in SpaceX shares probably was selling through here. They were selling Tesla through here. That's probably what, helped to give all this downside pressure. Those people have sold. So now they have free capital tied up to get involved in the SpaceX IPO. So as long as Tesla is continuing to trend higher, I would be a buyer, not a seller. I don't know that I would trust the 21 in this scenario, but the 50, yes. And the same goes for the 50 on the week. I think you have to be a buyer as long as price is holding that. Because this thing could start taking off here in a little bit. It's been grinding at this area for quite some time now. In terms of like how much money Tesla makes and all that, I don't know any of that. I'm just looking at straight technicals. As long as the trend is up, you want to be a buyer. And you want to be a buyer at or around prior lows. So right now, the longs are getting paid today. I like it. I think you probably have on the near term a low here, a local low. And I would still be a buyer. I would still be looking for dip buy opportunities. Long-term holds, I like Tesla, but I know Tesla is a volatile stock and it could trade much lower, right? It's very volatile. But not lately. Not lately. It hasn't been quite as volatile. We did get this like nasty rejection here, but we liked it here too. So here's what you got. Like right here on the very near term, it's sideways, choppy. It looks like it's put in a top. But as long as you're protecting lows or you're seeing price bounce off lows, there's a chance that the buyers are still in control. If I was looking for scalp trades on Tesla, I would be a buyer, not a seller, not yet. We start like maybe we can look for shorts when you start failing at the 21 or when the 21 starts to act like resistance. Generally speaking, if an asset is trending up, we want to be a buyer. But yeah, I like it higher. It doesn't mean it will go higher. I just like it higher. But here on the SpaceX thing, this because it's going to start trading. I thought it was going to happen on the 6th, but the 6th is a Saturday, so there's no way that's happening. Well, I don't even see it on weeks. I guess we're just going to have to look at it on Binance right here. So this is what I'm talking about. It's literally trading for 197 right here. It looks like it's trying to put in a floor. But when the IPO happens, whatever price that it opens at on the New York Stock Exchange, whether it's higher or lower, this ticker, if you're long already on a crypto exchange, keep this in mind, this will reprice violently to the opening price. So if you're long, for instance, 193 and that it opens out at $62 on the NYSE, you're going to get a nasty drop on this instantaneously. Too quick for you to be involved in. And the same goes for the upside. So be careful. Make sure if you're trading this SPCX USDT, make sure you're paying attention to when that IPO is. That's why I haven't participated in it yet. I will, absolutely. Because as of right now, I can trade size on this. It's not massive size, but I can trade 200 contracts. 200 contracts, that's at $200 per contract. That's pretty heavy size. So this will be a favorite moving forward in the future. A favorite ticker. I love it. It's going to be exciting. And it's a good thing too, because Bitcoin just getting absolutely murked. This one might have enough juice on it, like in the first 6 or 7 weeks, that this will be a daily watch. Every day will be a watch on this. It will be violent though. It'll be volatile and it will be violent. So make sure you're ready for that. I can't wait. But yeah, it's trying to build in support at around 190. But the highs are getting lower. You're building in like lower highs. I mean, you can see why they're trying to buy it at 195. As 196 cuts off those candle bodies. You had just 3 red candles that dug deeper, but the bulls picked it right back up shortly after. So I'd say most of this is market makers, but there's been 182,000 contracts traded in 24 hours. There's already more volume per 24 hours trading on this as there is on, well, not Nvidia. Nvidia is getting more and more each day. They're doing almost 500,000 contracts now. More and more volume. There's more volume trading in this ticker right now than there is on a lot of other stock assets. So this one, I don't like it when it's not trading a million, but I don't think you're going to get a million. Like right now, Coinbase is trading 36,000 contracts. Apple is 51,000. Nvidia is 500K. MicroStrategy's doing 1.4 million. Tesla's 212. Amazon is almost a million. I would say once SpaceX is trading publicly, the contracts will go way up. It's going to be a favorite for sure. All right, CL still has not dropped yet, but it is pulling back away from last week's open. It's not the kind of pullback that I wanted to see. I wanted to see an aggressive repricing lower, similarly to how it priced yesterday. Yesterday, it got really aggressive for a couple of hours. So it's still trading very, very sideways, but it is starting to head lower. The sellers have been able to take over in terms of on volume deltas, and this is your volume weighted average price. So if price can start to trade away from this, then your sellers are more aggressive inside the weekly range. That's what this average is. It shows you where the volume weighted price is. Going by volume. So if price starts to make lower highs and lower lows under this green line, that indicates that the sellers are in control of it. It's kind of what we want to see. It just spent a lot of time up here grinding. And it was difficult because it kept making these little higher highs. So I get it. Especially if this was the price that you were trying to enter on, which is the week open. Last week's open, not this week's open. This week's open's down here. So the bulls aren't out of the woods here. This could find support. If this grinds similarly to how it did right here, down here today, you might want to be cautiously short. I would not be looking for shorts down here, because you may get a lot of this, right? And it might go right back up. It's in price discovery. This is not a rapid repricing, so it's definitely not a great sign. But I'm going to continue to hold it. Obviously, if it gets up above this white line, I will be stopped out. 92.59. That's the previous 8-hour swing high. As of right now, you're kind of see weakness show up, but we definitely want it to stay under this block. If it can do that, we're fine holding it back down to the week open. Clearly, the week open is going to be where the next potential major support is. And you may even see buyers come right back into this thing down there, if it can even get down there. If it can even get down there. It's an ugly chart on anything lower than an 8-hour. 8-hour, it's pretty easy to see what's going on, but anything lower than that, it's... Yeah, even the 12-hour is ugly. Because of this stupid candle right here. Because this is the open, this is the candle that we want to see expansion happen. If that makes sense. So let's get rid of this candle for real quick here. Let's get rid of everything. Let's just focus on this range. This is the New York session candle. So this is the candle that we want to see range expansion on. Whether it's lower or higher. So the fact that you've been open for hours and it's still up, that's a threat. That means on the very near term, right there is major support. So if price shows an inability to trade under this price, there's probably no reason to hold the short. And we'll wrap it up. Everything is nuking bloodbath out there. Yep, some things are. This is part of the problem. ETFs suffered a devastating continuous 11-day outflow streak, bleeding nearly $3.5 billion over that stretch. They had been selling pretty much all of May. If we go look at net flows for the month of May, Michael Saylor on the 5th of May said that he would be willing to sell Bitcoin during an earnings call. Right here is the 5th of May. And you can see how the first week of May you had inflows. And then pretty much every day after May 5th was outflows. And I would argue, yes, this is the reason why you're seeing Bitcoin get nuked. Absolutely. Yes, sir. This is April's. Right here's April 1. So this is April's opening range. So here's April 1. And then here's May, April 30. So here's May open. So from this box to this box, there was clearly more buying than selling. It's literally been all selling since Sailor said what he said. All of it. The entire month. This is why we were bearish coming into this week. And then yesterday, look at the outflows. Aggressive. $500 million yesterday alone. $500 million. It's insane, man. It's a lot of selling pressure. A lot of selling pressure. People are afraid. And until that fear subsides, or until big money gets involved. Obviously, big money is not involved yet. Otherwise, this would not be happening. Michael Saylor isn't going to be enough. You're going to need 15 or 20 Michael Saylors. Yeah, this is bad. This looks really, really bad. You're really close to making fresh month lows. It's a nasty move. Take the stairs up, elevator down. It's literally the way it works. We wanted to see support hold here. It did not. So I just can't sell it now. Not with it on the day oversold. Selling it now is just such a risky freaking trade. It's not even funny. This thing is probably going to bounce in the next couple of days. And at what price, it's going to be impossible to decide. So I can't trade it. But what I could do is I could wait for several days to allow these indicators to cool off a little bit. I mean, look how oversold the 4-hour is. You're at levels that you haven't seen since February. You see what I mean? Like, this thing is probably going to bounce soon, but it won't be a buy. It'll be a wait for the indicator to chill out and then look for the sell again. If price is still under here. If you get a sideways choppy market like this again that lasts for like 4 days, it'll be a sell again. It won't be a buy, unfortunately. But for the long-term hold, this is value. If you're looking to hold Bitcoin for more than 5 years, you can buy. This is where you want to be looking. Anywhere between here and, say, 47, you can be a buyer. I don't think you're going to get to 47. But to be honest, I didn't think you were going to see a fresh 2026 yearly low either. So, obviously, it ain't made a fresh low yet, but all you need is 2 more days like today, and you will be there. That's terrible. 2 more days like this, you will have fresh lows. And that's nasty. That's nasty. Ugh. Hate fresh lows. Yeah, the volatility is expanding above. Let me see here. Yeah, you're above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're making fresh 6-week highs right now on volatility. Here it is right now. This is your volatility index for Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the liquidation. Next liquidation zone is up here. So if you're looking for long Bitcoin scalps, trust me, it's just a scalp. You're not looking to hold it for a very long time. You're just looking to jump in on a long and then looking for the bounce, and then you're looking to sell, right? That's a scalp. Then you can start doing that if Bitcoin falls back under this white line. Not Bitcoin, but if DVOL falls back under this white line. But as long as it's advancing above the white line, you can't, because it could be coming here, as you have already liquidated. This is a tradable asset. People trade this. It's the volatility index. It's a way for people to hedge against their Bitcoin long portfolio. If it works the same way the VIX does anyways. They might be trading it via options, but they're trading it. So if this is just a liquidation spike, which it isn't, because you don't go from making fresh lows to all the way up here, but now volatility sellers will be interested in a position. Now volatility sellers will be like, okay, if this thing starts to show me any kind of weakness from here, I'll jump on it. Which means if that happens, you could look for upside spikes now. I don't trade that way. And I don't think you guys should either, unless you're really good at mitigating risk. Because when the volatility is elevated like this, it's moving a lot more. It's moving more now than it has since this day here. This is the biggest day we've seen in terms of a Bitcoin range in a long time. You're down 5 point something % here. This is a big move. Big move. So if I was going to be scalping it, that's what I would watch. I would watch that volatility index, and when you get under the white line, I'd fire off a long. If price moves in the long, get up a percent or 1.5% and then take profits. Maybe that works for you now, but yeah, it's still above it. So you don't want to do it while it's above it. And look at that piece of garbage S&P 500. It's making fresh all-time highs today. God, Bitcoin's annoying sometimes. Oh, man. I'm only annoyed because I got stopped out of the short. Oh, that pisses me off so bad. Oil is starting to pull back a little bit more, but oil isn't moving as much as Bitcoin is. So I might close the oil trade and look for a quick scalp on Bitcoin if DVOL pulls back. I don't know. I'll probably just leave it alone. Oil looks okay. Oil is, I mean, it is what it is, right? All right, you guys have a fantastic. Oh, here, let me make sure we ain't. Let me make sure. ETH, yeah, ETH. We were looking at ETH for the short this morning. If we wanted to be dollar bull, for the long, if you wanted to be dollar bear, but clearly it wasn't a good trade. I mean, it is in hindsight, but the entry, I would argue, wasn't a very good entry. You would have been looking for the short roughly in this area, either at the open of this candle or at the high of the candle. And that would have been a difficult short to take based off the prior open. It could have been a trade to take, but I didn't take it. But we looked at Ethereum versus Bitcoin because ETH had been so strong versus Bitcoin, but it was Bitcoin weakness and not Ethereum strength. So we kind of felt like we knew Ethereum was going to break down today. And that's why I said if you're looking for shorts, then short Ethereum and not Bitcoin. It actually turns out now that you could have shorted Bitcoin too at the same time. But Ethereum has moved down to the lows, 3.27%. And if we look at Bitcoin at the exact same time, for the exact same, you would have been literally shorting the low of day, which is definitely not something we would have done. So the trade on Ethereum has been the better trade. It has produced more of a downside move. In terms of buying, I only buy Bitcoin. If I'm not getting long Bitcoin, then I'm getting long like Pingu or Bonk or Fartcoin, looking for a bounce, right? I rarely ever trade Ethereum because Ethereum is just as expensive to trade as Bitcoin is. And it rarely moves as much as Bonk, Pingu, or Fartcoin. So generally, like if Ethereum's going to do good, so will Fartcoin, Bonk, and Pingu. And all of those will move more in one day than ETH will. Usually. So I very rarely ever trade it. But I don't have a volatility index to look at for Ethereum. So, I mean, I would just hang on to shorts. It is also oversold. You are also more than oversold here on the daily. So looking for fresh shorts, not the best trade idea. As it's probably going to bounce soon. It might not, but yeah, it's just I don't like selling an oversold market. It does, unless I'm taking profits. And I'm never taking profits on an oversold market via a sell. It's always a buy. But yeah, it can continue to go much lower. Be careful. You're probably going to see a bounce soon. But it will only be like a 10 or a 15 minute bounce. I wouldn't be looking for it to go back up to here or anything like that. The only way I would expect it to even bounce is if the dollar bounces. I mean, drops. And the dollar is not dropping. The dollar is making fresh highs right now. Or headed up there to make fresh highs. So that oil trade is likely not going to work. Yeah, I would bail on the oil idea, period. Yeah, I mean, you can still take a trade here on silver if you want. This isn't a bad trade here on silver. If the dollar is about to rally hard, silver will probably roll over and end up making fresh lows. This is about as big of a pullback as you're going to get if you're looking for mid-range entries. It's still a valid short, dude. Right there's yesterday's high. That's yesterday's high on silver. As long as you're trading under this, I would be a bear, not a bull. You would need quite a large move, though, to take profits all the way down there. That's what I would need. So you need a breakdown, but you could get one. And it's being nice and pulling back here to give people that opportunity. Euro just broke down and put in a trending move, lower low, all that good stuff. So yeah, probably let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to get out of the oil trade. And instead of trying to buy Bitcoin, On a bounce, because dollar's going to move up, it looks like. I think silver is better. XAG. Silver's up 1.78% on the day. The 4-hour don't look that good on silver. On whatchamacallit, but on weeks. But yeah, probably going to see a bigger trending move on silver soon. See this sideways here? This is all sideways. Trending move. Then sideways. So if it breaks down, you could get a move like this. That lasts a couple days. But the dollar would have to continue to trend up. Which is possible. Who knows? All right, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Yeah, it's Bitcoin's getting killed. I'd leave Bitcoin alone, guys. Leave it alone for now. Dollar looks good. Dollar, I mean, not good, but it looks like it wants to rally. But be careful trading Bitcoin. Very, very volatile. All right, y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you guys trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.